Hello there and welcome to Creative Autistic. I hope you're doing well. It's been a little while since I've posted. I've not been very well over the last few weeks, so I decided to take a break from uploading videos, both to here and my other channel at Clay Disarray. So I just thought I'd take some downtime over Easter. So I hope you enjoyed the holiday. Today I just wanted to do a little update as to where I am at the moment in regards to my late diagnosis of being an autistic person. It's been almost 2 months now since my assessments, and gosh, what a time it's been. I think it's been almost like the 5 stages of grief or 7 stages of grief, can't quite remember which, but it's almost like a kind of similar process, because I've certainly been in denial over the last few weeks. It's been, just such a lot of information to kind of absorb and retain, really. So yeah, I think I've just been in a state where I've almost been questioning the outcome of my assessments, and at some level I've been a bit like, I'm sure they've got this wrong because I can't be autistic, but I have to be autistic because I've spent so long thinking that I've been autistic as well as researching. So to be able to get to the place of, discussing the matter with a psychiatrist is actually a privilege, because there's so many people that just aren't able to access assessments. I think we're quite fortunate here in the UK and well, certainly in England and Wales, because we've got access to assessments through the NHS, and I could never have afforded to do this privately. So I totally understand why, so many people just don't go for an assessment, really. So over the last few weeks, I've been looking around online at other autistic people and trying to relate my own experience of being an autistic person alongside theirs, and it's caused a number of challenges, because my brain's been almost like, you can't be autistic because you can't relate to this specific thing that this other autistic person is kind of going through or has been through. So I'm sure somebody somewhere in the process has got this wrong, because you're clearly not autistic. And for me, it really evidences why it's so important that the phrase, if you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person, exists, because, it's just such a lot of information to take on board, really. And particularly if your brain is refusing, for whatever reason, to accept that information. Thankfully, I'm now in a different mindset, and I'm probably more at the kind of acceptance stage, or certainly nearly there, because I'm now thinking of myself as autistic, and whenever I kind of think of things or scenarios that have happened in my life that I've kind of beaten myself up about in the past, for me, having this kind of new information is helping me reframe these things in an entirely different way. So I'm being a lot kinder to myself as a result of that. Like, for instance, I've always had a real problem with jobs and employment, and it's no exaggeration to tell you that I've had between 35 to 40 jobs. And yeah, it's been tricky. It's mainly been kind of office jobs that I've worked in up until I've, become a freelance artist. So it's been in a variety of different things, whether it's sales or customer service or recruitment, all the things that autistic people would never be interested in many cases. And I've always struggled with either other people that I work with. I've, in many instances, struggled with my boss or manager, because I've always had a kind of real problem with the concept of hierarchy and being told what to do. And on top of that, I've often had issues with the work itself. So yeah, it's been a really tricky ride, I have to tell you, but I'm really enjoying, working for myself now, and I just wish that I'd been able to kind of access that kind of work a lot earlier in my life, really. And of course, I'll no doubt share with you other instances of stuff really that I'm now starting to reframe as an autistic person, and give myself a bit of support for, really. So this week I've been to see my GP, or one of my GPs, about my ASD level 1 diagnosis. And in the paperwork that's been sent by my psychiatrist, she mentioned that I might well want to consider an additional assessment for ADHD, because it's just so often kind of comorbid with autism, really. It's thought that up to 70% of autistic people are also ADHD, so I've decided to just go for another assessment, really. But I think the waiting list is going to be probably a couple of years now, because there's just so many people seeking diagnoses these days, and quite rightly so. So there's 3 types of ADHD. There's the hyperactive type that we hear quite a lot about in the media, and there's the inattentive type, and the third is actually a combination of the two. So for me, I would fall into the inattentive type. So I've always struggled with kind of retaining information or absorbing the right kind of information, really. For instance, when I get a brief come through for my work at Clay Disarray, basically I'm a sculptor and an artist. I always struggle with trying to get the right amount of information needed out of the brief. For whatever reason, I always forget some really important, often crucial piece of information within that brief, and it can be really embarrassing. So what I've learned to do is to speak with Ian about briefs, so he'll read through them as well. And as I'm kind of working through the process, will often come back to the brief just to make sure that I've kind of hit all the information. And I have to say, he's saved my life so many times, because for whatever reason, just not absorbs that crucial bit of information, really. So yeah, I'm just really thankful that he's around, that he's able to do that for me, because I was really struggled with that, I think. I've also really struggled with reading throughout my life, and I thought a couple of years ago that I probably had a really mild case of dyslexia, because whenever I read, my brain almost wants to look for patterns in the text. So I'll be making kind of pathways between the text, if that makes sense at all. So kind of reading the words almost become kind of secondary to the whole visual elements of the piece of text. So I don't often read a lot. I have to be really interested in what I'm reading. Textbooks aren't so much of an issue, because the placement of the text is often easier to read. But when it comes to like a novel or a autobiography, etc., when there's a huge great block of text, yeah, I struggle with it, and I'm forgetting what I'm reading half the time, so I'll need to come back to the same paragraph over and over before I can move on. So I think the ADHD kind of really explains as to why that happens. So I think that's going to be it for today. I just wanted to give a little brief update as to where I'm at. And going forward on this channel, I think what I'll do is to upload as and when I think I've got something to say, rather than trying to upload on a weekly basis, because I just want it to feel kind of organic, really. And I don't want to feel like I have to upload a discussion point every week, which is what I wanted to do actually when I first launched this channel. But yeah, I want it to be more of a relaxed experience, really. So I think it'll be kind of sporadic videos up until I might change my mind or have a new plan, really. So yeah, So I hope you're all doing well regardless, and I hope to be back soon. So give it a like if you got this far, and yeah, I'll see you again soon.